Hi everybody, it's Katie. Today we are here talking with my grandfather, and we're going to be talking about questions and lessons from 67 years of marriage. So we're here to pick his brain and get some wisdom from the time that he's been with us on this planet. What I have here is just a list of questions I've asked people in my tribe back home in California. What are some good, I've got lots of questions, but what are some things that you would want to know from someone who is 91 years old, who's been married for 67 years to the same woman, my amazing grandmother? What are some questions that you would want to ask? Because there's a lot of, in my opinion, there's a lot of wisdom. So I have my list here, and I will just jump right into it. So you guys were married in September of 1949. And then when was your first baby born?
9 months and 9 days after we got married, there was a surprise. Although it was a growing surprise.
Yeah, it was. That surprise was my dad. And then when was the next?
Well, Larry was about almost 2 years later, from June till January, so 18 months really.
Okay,
yeah.
And then the last was
55. So that was 5 years later, you might say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've got the 3 kids. Now, you talked a little bit about moving around, and but after your kids were born, did you, and we'll say Tommy, I actually always wondered about Tommy, and now I know it's been a long time before me that she was named Tommy. I thought, why does my grandmother go by Tommy? Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next question, and this is kind of moving more in towards the questions about 67 years of marriage. And the question is, what is one thing that your spouse did to make you feel encouraged?
Well, I think because my progression in the company related to being willing to take moves and take promotions to different areas was very important, and she never fretted about moving to another place. It was always an adventure to her. Yeah. And it was very encouraging because there were people that did not progress in the company because the wife, say, had parents maybe were in that same town. Sure. And they wouldn't move away, or she wouldn't be interested in moving away, so they just got stopped at their potential for moving up in the company. So that was very encouraging, and she never complained that I can remember about a move. It was every time was an adventure.
That's good.
Very encouraging.
That's very good. So another question, how did you overcome reoccurring areas of conflict or disagreement in your marriage?
You know, I cannot say that we had what I would call a lingering area of conflict. Neither of us tended to hold a grudge.
That's probably huge.
That's probably the answer. That's why I don't remember them.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's very true.
I think that's an important aspect of it. If people live with these things that they've had some arguments about, that is bad news, because that's when you have bad long-term conflicts. Yeah.
Areas of unforgiveness, or areas where you just can't get over it. That's true. That's really good. So next question. What do you think was your biggest parenting success? Or actually, we'll do both. Maybe your biggest parenting success, and then something that you consider a failure or something that you wish you had done differently.
Well, I think we have to consider that both of us put family first. And we never did do a lot of activities that were separated from each other. In other words, I didn't go out and play golf every weekend, and she didn't go to have evening bridge clubs and that sort of thing where we were separated. And so we placed the family first, and we always enjoyed the family and did things together. And I think that kept us from having significant separateness.
Yeah. I would definitely consider that a success. Our family is pretty tight-knit, so I would say that's something that probably was the start of it. And then is there an area that you wish you had done differently, or something that you look back and think, maybe I could have done that
There's
differently.
only one area that I think of, and that is because I spent a lot of time with boys because Dave and Larry were getting to be teenagers, and we had a lot more in common. And being from a farm family originally, I think the time spent with the girl of the family typically fell on the mother. And so I probably didn't spend as much time with Sue as I should have because I was busy with the boys and scouting and amateur radio and all these things. So that was, for instance, if we'd had her first and the boys second, there would have been a kind of reverse,
Yeah.
I would have spent a lot more time with her.
Right.
But as it turned out, it was just the way it happened. And maybe I wasn't as sensitive as I should have been to that aspect of it.
Okay, so next question. What do you think are the top 3 things that you and your wife have done that made your marriage last for nearly 7 full decades? And I think one of those that you touched on just a moment ago is not holding a grudge, obviously.
I think we tended to do things together rather than separately. That's sort of what I said earlier. We enjoyed doing the things together that were important to us, each of us. She enjoyed when we went out camping and with the family, and enjoyed when we were in the city, enjoyed going to the city activities, the movies and the concerts and things like that. And so staying together in our activities was very important, I think.
Growing together instead of apart.
I was always very proud of my wife. She was special.
Yeah, she is. She's a special lady. Okay, so the last question. What primary message would you give to young married people today? People my age and people in their 20s who are getting married and hoping, obviously, I don't think anybody gets married with the intention of getting divorced.
Yeah.
I think everyone who gets married is thinking, this person is my person.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give?
Well, we've kind of touched on these things, and I think refraining from lingering arguments that just wear on the marriage, and a lot of these times it's money, and we started out with very little money. My wife, your grandmother, was very careful with her spending and with the money we had, because we started out with a salary which sounds very low today, but it was like $300 a month.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I had a company car, and we didn't have a private car,
Yeah.
but they let us use it because I was on call to go to wells at night and one thing and another. We used it for both personal and company use, but that was a big help. But slowly the salary went up, and I think one of the things that young people should think about is saving. We started saving when we didn't have much. We still would save a little bit of money each month, and the company then had a plan where they would match a certain percentage, and we always took maximum advantage of that.
Yeah.
Whatever we saved, they either doubled or did 50% of it or whatever it was. And so over the years that went quite a ways towards comfortable retirement. So money is the big swinger. After you talk about lingering arguments, money probably is the first one for many people. And maybe different religious interests could be an area of concern. So basically one person must be willing to give in and try to match their interests with the mates, and sometimes that can become a distraction.
The willingness to kind of to yield to your partner,
together,
to work together. Yeah, that's very true. Well, those are good. I think that we're in a society today that talks. I mean, that divorce is so prevalent, and I look at you and grandmother's marriage, and then I look at my parents' marriage, and it's definitely something. You guys have been great role models for us, and And I think, okay, because I know every couple has their ups and downs, and so I think, okay, if my family, if my parents can do this, if my grandparents can do this, you know, we can do this. We'll work through it, and it's worth it in the end, because I've watched as I've grown up the fun that you guys have had together, and it's the fun that you guys have been having for 67 years, and I want that. And I think that most people do when they get married. They want to grow old with their special person, and so I appreciate the wisdom. Thank you for sharing. I think we're going to go ahead and wrap that up for now. And yeah, so if you like our videos, please click like. We'd also love to invite you to be a subscriber and join along with us on our journey. We have a Facebook page, we have a blog, and we'd love for you to join us on one of those mediums for more videos. And so thanks again for joining, and thank you again, Pampa, more farfar.
Thank you for the opportunity to review my life
Yeah.
with my wife.
Yeah, it's been special to hear about this. There's some things I didn't know, so it's good. So thank you. And thank you guys for watching. We hope you have a good rest of your day. Bye.